What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building, you feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks, alright? Let's get straight right into it. So you already know, obviously, last night was definitely an important game for the Raptors. Raptors were home facing the Indiana Pacers, and they finally, got their first win at home since, hella long ago. Basically, the 2020 March season, what is that, 20 months, whatever they said, March 2020. I don't even know the exact date, but basically it's hella long ago. So, obviously the Raptors had to, they had to thug it out not being at home last year, the whole last season. First it was the bubble, and then after the bubble, they obviously were in, Tampa Bay, and they were thugging it out, not having home court advantage, really. So now they finally back at home and, finally got their first win at home, on the third, fourth try. But it's like, remember when before people were always coming after me, and because I'm being a realist, you're not a real Raptors fan. Raptors, last year, the only reason they were that bad was because, or the main reason was because they didn't have home court advantage. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have, they weren't at home. They were struggling because they didn't have their home court. You know how hard it is to always basically have 82 road games or 72 road games? Like, dog, what are y'all talking about? Now they finally come back home, sold out crowds and stuff like that, home openers. They finally got their first home win in what, 4 tries? Come on now. Y'all have to wake up and smell the coffee. So we're not even going to go down that rabbit hole or anything like that. But the point is, last season wasn't a loss just because they didn't have home court advantage. That's hella cap. So obviously, the start of the year they struggled, but mainly it is a great sign that they got a win at home versus the Pacers. Pacers have been struggling themselves. They're trying to find, their footing. Their struggle hasn't really been the same as their record, because their record says they're 1-4, obviously, after this loss. But other than this game that they just played versus the Raptors, every game has basically been a close game. Some have been OTs and stuff like that, like the one versus the Hornets, that they faced, and obviously the one versus the Wizards as well. So the record isn't as bad as it actually seems. They're actually a solid team. I like the rookie Chris Duarte, obviously. Him and Scotty right now are battling out, and who would have ever thought, right? But, I always liked Chris Duarte ever since I saw him, just playing, period, even in college. So, I like this game, period. And then in the draft, I was surprised he even went as low as he went, right? And he's been a sleeper draft pick as well. Scotty, for a lot of people, has been a sleeper draft pick as well. You already know my stance on Scotty. I think he's Draymond 2.0, right? So, he's been playing great as well. He played good this game as well, too. A lot of great passes. But again, even when you see his game, it's like, I don't know, people can't actually think the fact that he's actually Draymond Green 2.0. It's like, it's crazy that people, oh my God, he has a better shot than Draymond Green. That's what 2.0 is. You're not the exact same player, or he'll be a Draymond Green reincarnation. You know what I'm saying? He's not. He's actually a Draymond Green 2.0, meaning he actually has the base of Draymond, similar play style, similar sets, how he scores, that fake handoff, go to the paint and then try and scoop or whatever. But he's a bigger version in terms of athleticism, in terms of length, right? In terms of height. Then he's also a better version in terms of he could shoot better, right? And he's more aggressive. So he's a Draymond Green base, but a 2.0 version. Just like they say Donovan Mitchell is Wade 2.0. Does it mean Wade shot the same as Donovan Mitchell? No. It's a 2.0 version, meaning you're a better version at a high clip, a high caliber. You have the same base, but you're a better version. That's what 2.0 means. When you get the iPhone and you get a next version of the iPhone, isn't it better? Don't they have the same features, but they advance it with a better camera, with a better this? Is it the same? No, it's a 2.0. Like, I don't know what man's like. Dog, that's when Raptors fans just be hella biased. Like, I don't, why I have to even explain that, but, it's only with Raptors fans you have to explain what a 2.0 really means. Like, it's just crazy, man. When you say he's a poor man's this, that means he's that person, but a lesser version. That's what, like, I don't even know why I have to explain these basic concepts, but, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But, obviously, the Raptors played, a solid game, a great game. I like how they increased the tempo, right? The fact that they increased the tempo is obviously great. Increasing the tempo means that, you're going to have to get more offensive flow. That's why the tempo is increased. I know the tempo is not as increased because Pascal's not there. So that's a lot of the reason why they're not getting easier buckets. Pascal's going to get you a good 10 to 16 just off transition, pushing the tempo. Even if it's not, a fast break, it'll be semi-transition where, you create some mismatches because you just pushing the tempo. Pascal gets the rebound, he's running, right? Lowry was a lot of the reason why they increased the tempo. They're really seeing that as well, too. Lowry and Pascal were like the head of the increased push tempo. Scotty now, he increases the tempo somewhat, but, it's his rookie season. He's not going to increase it OD like that, right? Mainly Lowry and Pascal. You see with the Heat how Lowry's getting the rebound. I'm throwing it out to Jimmy Butler, even versus the Nets, yesterday as well, too. Like, you seeing a lot of, like, the Heat's tempo has increased drastically. So that just shows you that Lowry was really the tempo pusher, Lowry and Pascal together. Even if it's not necessarily Pascal pushing, Lowry is passing to Pascal and Pascal's outletting. So they both tandem are pushing the tempo, even though Pascal isn't initiating it. So he's finishing it. So, from that perspective, like, you miss those. Now you see when you're not forced to a half court game all the time, you really see how it's missed because, they're living in half court nonstop. They're living in nonstop. OG, if he's not creating, he's not in his bag, or VanVleet, if he's not in his bag, and Trent is struggling, you see that they really struggle at half court, and it's hard to actually get buckets because, you have to rely on half court day in and day out every possession, and that's why the other games, not this game, but they haven't scored as much, they've been getting padded, and it's been low scoring games and stuff like that. So, they increased the tempo this game, and credit to, Scotty and even VanVleet and, all of the team has, in general. And I know Nurse has obviously focused on that and obviously, pinpointed that on the drawing board and be like, yo, we got to push the tempo, fam. Like, we can't be playing in half court like this. We got to manipulate our offense and push any chance we get. So doesn't necessarily mean you score like right away, 7 seconds or less or anything like that, but you create an offensive flow, even if you score in the last 14 seconds. The point is you created mismatches, you pushed initially, they stopped something, so the chances of something else opening up is going to be higher and it's going to be heightened. So that's obviously, I seen that in this game. Again, obviously, like, you would think that, the Raptors are going to get better. Obviously, when Pascal comes back, their record is going to naturally improve with Pascal coming back. But to a drastic measure that some people think, I don't think so. That's why I've always had them as 11, 10, just bottom seed, maybe just getting into the play-in. Like, that's what I kind of see it. Remember, everyone across the board. It's not just the Raptors by themselves isolated. It's the fact that you have to assess and you have to equate the actual other teams in the conference. Like, the conference is actually deep. Teams that you actually wouldn't be thinking are a great team or a solid team have even improved. Like I said, with the Hornets, you have the Knicks, you have the Hawks still there. You have even the Wizards have improved. Like, you have teams improving across the board. So it makes it tougher for the Raptors. Their natural or little slight improvement would mean more in other seasons, right? In other times where the East wasn't as stacked or the East wasn't as improved, so you could get away with slight adjustments, slight improvements. But when you're that bad at the 11th seed and you slightly improve in terms of the rookie, you still lose Lowry, which is a big loss, right? Like, you make slight improvements, but you lost Lowry, so it's like you kind of improve just like this. But even because you lost Lowry, some could say that you actually got worse, right? Because Lowry's impact is drastic. So, when you add that and then everyone else, the Bulls increase hella, right? You got the Hornets, they increase. I think it's hella, but, drastically, or even if it's subtle, it's still hella in terms of what the Raptors did because they didn't decrease. They straight increased, right? Then there's other teams across the board. The Pacers slightly increased. They don't have LeVert back, right? But they slightly increased. You still got other teams, just everyone in general, right? The Heat, you got a drastic improvement, right? They obviously added Lowry, right? The Nets have slightly increased, but then even with their slight decrease without Kyrie, now that you see, it's still above what the Raptors, naturally are. The Celtics slightly increased, you know what I mean? Because, or maybe they decrease, but the decrease isn't enough for the Raptors to overtake them, right? So you look at the teams across the board, period. Like, there's a lot of teams, sleeper teams that have improved, and just even if a team has decreased, they're still above the Raptors. So it's just a lot of congestion. So when you look at it from that perspective, right? I mean, like, even the Sixers, they decreased in terms of not getting rid of Ben or having Ben not there, but they still are way better than the Raptors, right? So it's just, you got to put things into perspective, and that's why I have the Raptors, very basically in the play-in area, similar to last year, fighting for the play-in or just being in the play-in period, 9 to 11, situation outside looking in, but, still in, or maybe 12, you never know. But in that range, 9 to 12 range is where I kind of have them. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. We're still waiting on Pascal coming. He's getting closer and closer, right? And the things that I liked in terms of this game, I liked VanVleet. VanVleet's mid-range ability, I really like VanVleet's mid-range ability. Remember, I've always been saying VanVleet, pull in the gaps. Like, he's pulling in the gaps from 3, and then as well as he's creating actually and initiating shot creating buckets from the mid-range ability. And I love to see that. Like, just seeing that shot creation, like at the mid-range, I always said, that's what an elite point guard has to do in this era. You can't just 3 and paint. You can't just do that. I mean, you can, but if you want to, get your game to an all-star level caliber player and all that type of stuff, you got to be able to kill in the mid-range. Those are a guaranteed 6 to 8 buckets you can get in the mid-range every single night, because every team plays a drop coverage. Those are the mid-range has so much space. When you create, it opens up your drives and opens up your game even more and opens up your efficiency. Everything opens up if you're able to be efficient and just be able to create and kill in the mid-range area every given night. Here and there in some plays, when they give you the opportunity, you become more of a threat and you become more of a problem. And that's where I was always saying VanVleet has to step his game to that next echelon. In order to do that, it's not just increasing his output. He has to be able to create in the mid-range ability, which now increases his overall output as well too. So, that's something that, that I've always been raving and kind of highlighting for VanVleet to apply. And finally, he's applying it now, obviously. So when you look at that, that's something that's definitely we're kind of aware to that improvement. It's definitely needed improvement, and he's added that. And it's no coincidence that he's adding it now that Lowry's actually gone, right? Lowry being gone, VanVleet knows that, okay, I can't get away with playing off the ball a lot of the times and not taking advantage of opportunities, because Lowry's going to push the tempo. Lowry's going to take advantage of opportunities. Lowry's going to add his score, and he's going to add his, his IQ, all that type of stuff. But Lowry being gone and you're the sole point guard mainly, especially in the starting lineup. Obviously, you have Dragic or whatever, but, Dragic coming off the bench, like, it's not the same in terms of VanVleet being on the court to start the game with Lowry, right? VanVleet knows I have to be more aggressive. I have to take more advantage of these opportunities that they give me. And now you could see it's no coincidence that he finally is applying this bag even more. Even if he struggles, I don't care about that. The fact that he's applying the bag, taking opportunities, shooting those shots, now that even Lowry's gone, it makes perfect sense. It's not a coincidence. It's actually something that he's probably been aware of, and he's actually probably highlighted in his offseason work that, I need to be more. I can't get away with this no more. I need to. And, I've been preaching that from time. So him adding that to his arsenal and adding that to his bag is definitely beautiful, and it's something that I liked seeing, especially in this game. And I've been seeing it even from throughout the season. I've been seeing him do it more and more, even if he's been missing. I just been seeing him take it. And that's something that's great to add to your bag and, is beautiful to see. And then on the other end, you see OG. I know people have been like, OG, come on, relax. Don't do that. Like, they're kind of overreacting to the results because he hasn't been shooting the greatest. Obviously, now as you see him getting more acclimated and more comfortable, you're starting to see his percentages increase a little bit. Still not where, you want OG to be. But the point is, he hasn't ever lived in this bag. He hasn't ever lived in this ability. He's finally just applying it. He's only lived in preseason. He hasn't really lived in the shot creating my own. I'm gonna get my bucket myself. It's not just being a 3-and-D spot up type of guy and only scoring in situations off the 3-and-D, right? Pump fake and then going to the paint or transition or just spotting up. Like, he's actually creating ISO, move out my way. I'm a ball handle, add fluidity to it, drive to the basket. He's adding this type of bag, step backs, escapes, dribble pull-ups, pulling gaps, all of these ability in this arsenal that you're seeing him apply. You can't react or overreact to the struggle that you see. And I see a lot of people doing that. Obviously, they're like, oh my God, OG could be the next Kawhi. I understand how it kind of just looks from the naked eye, how it just, everything, the story, everything looks like the trajectory of a Kawhi, but think outside of that. Forget that. You can't, that's him reaching his ceiling, I guess. Right? And his floor obviously is just being a 3-and-D guy, right? But you have to just think outside of that and don't even get worn, kind of just drawn into that. Just think about just letting him be himself, letting him improve and advance his game in terms of finding himself, right? So what that means is in this situation, yes, people are like, yo, you want Raptors to win, whatever. Raptors know that obviously they're going to try and whatever, but they know that it's not like you're trying to tank, but you're not going to be surprised if you fall in the exact same spot you fell in last year. Even last year, they didn't try to tank until obviously near the back end where they now started resting Lowry and whatever. But, you know, for the most part, for the first, 3 quarters of the season, they weren't trying to tank. They were thinking, okay, at any time we just get one win, we can go on a streak, go on a streak, go on a streak. They weren't trying to tank. So don't let anyone fool you thinking that they were or say that they will. They were. They weren't. But the difference is, and you had Pascal there, you had Lowry there, right? So with Pascal being out, you know, this is the time OG has never had this opportunity. If you actually look at it, there's always been Kawhi, there's always been Pascal, there's always been Lowry, there's always been VanVleet. There's been 4 guys in the hierarchy over him, and then you even add Norm. That's 5 guys in the hierarchy over him in terms of shot creating or in terms of opportunities and getting the bucket. It's been them, and OG's been to the wayside, and yet he still averaged 16 last year while being to the wayside because he's been being more aggressive in situations. Also, other people have been injured or whatever, so he now becomes a 3rd guy or whatever. But he's been more aggressive, and you could see he's having a mindset of, I need to stop just playing through the motions and, okay, it's for them. Okay, you know, it's not my shot, so here. But taking advantage and creating my own. Even if I don't have what they think I'm supposed to have as just spotting up, it's not there. Normally, he would not have to spot up, okay, here, pass to a guy, lay run, pick and roll. Now he's been taking advantage of, okay, even though I don't have a shot, okay, pump fake, one dribble, you know what I mean? Go to the paint, all that stuff. Now he's actually starting offenses, right? You see him ball handling. So you have to let him live in that situation. Don't overreact to the misses. Don't overreact to like not being comfortable and, you know, breaking that and that take looks ugly or whatever. Like you have to let that process happen. So then now it all adds to the confidence, right? When it adds to the confidence, this is what people don't understand when they read the stat sheet or when they see the eye test. These things add to the confidence of a hooper and add to the confidence of a player. So now they get more familiar. They get more comfortable. So now when you need them to get into their bag in bigger games, bigger moments, bigger situations, they're comfortable. They're acclimated. They have, you know, confidence in terms of, okay, I'm comfortable getting this bucket. I'm comfortable shooting this. So now they don't even, that initial base worry of, okay, it's I'm actually finally doing this in an NBA game. You kind of like frantic. You're kind of panicking, especially when you went from not doing it to now doing it. You're kind of frantic. You're not, you know, it's kind of, you know, you're just kind of getting your feet wet with it. Now, after that, you know what I'm saying? You get your feet wet. Now it's like, okay, ooh, it's like kind of like a pool. You know how you just put your feet in cold water? Oh, it's cold. You finally first hop into it. Sometimes when you just dive fully into it, you're cold at first. But now, you know, the ones that fully jump in the water forget the whole little process of touching the water, getting cold, and then slowly going in. That's a slow process. But again, you have to get your feet wet, and then you get comfortable, then your body gets warm, and now you finally go in. Some people, obviously, out the gate, they just jump into it. They're cold for a little bit, you know, 1-2 game, and then they're blessed. OG's doing his feet wet. He's getting his feet wet, but at the same time, he's still jumping into it because he's not being nervous. He's just going right into it, and, you know, he's struggling, and the struggle could be maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or maybe a month. But eventually, he's going to get warm. And eventually, he's going to get comfortable. He's going to be swimming, doing backstrokes, going underwater for a minute. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be doing it all eventually. So that's kind of that's kind of the metaphor and kind of the example that you kind of have to look at, and how you have to kind of just, okay, I see what you're saying. I see how it correlates, because don't overreact to the misses. Just let it be. Let it rock with it, you know? Just look at the takes. Look at the things individually. Oh my God, that step back. Okay, OG, I see you though. Put him in an ICU though. You get what I'm saying? So that's what you just gotta just allow that, let it happen, let it, you know, transition, just let it be. And then eventually, obviously, you're gonna see it's gonna be a whole different OG. And I can smell it from a mile away. It might not be to the Kawhi level. Obviously, Kawhi's still a generational talent. Doesn't matter how he got to that point in his transition. You can see the movements. Even though Kawhi's robotic, he looks hella fluid compared to OG. But if you look at OG from what he first was and look at OG now, he looks hella fluid compared to when he first was. So, you know, you have to be able to dissect these things and, you know, treat everything and rate everything accordingly to the player individually themselves. So, you know, I'm not mad at OG struggling or whatever. Like, I actually love it. I'm actually, you know, on the spectrum of I love it, and I'm just amped about it anyways, period, point blank. You know what I'm saying? So, I like that was a great win for the Raptors, obviously. So, we'll see how, they pan out. We'll see if they can maybe get a streak going. You never know. Maybe, they finally, okay, push the tempo. They have the blueprint, maybe, and then get a couple wins before Pascal comes back. Pascal coming back maybe soon, right? But we'll see how everything transitions. So you already know True Talks, the True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no drought here. You feel me? Let me know what y'all think and what y'all liked about that game. Who y'all like, the sleepers, and all that type of stuff. Let me know. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. And I'm out, man.